Unexpected message revealed. A heartwarming pregnancy test photo unites a single mom and a Bill. Rain whipped against the window, the sound a soft percussion against the simmering chaos of her life. Sarah sat curled up on the couch, a pile of mismatched cushions holding her small, weary frame. She was staring at a mystery from her past, an old pregnancy test. Once filled with mixed emotions, now weathered like her spirit. That little stick embodied her hopes, dreams, and fears when she found out she was going to be a mother. Her heart twisted, remembering how her world spun into a whirlwind of joy and worry. Ethan, her bright-eyed 7-year-old, was lightly snoring on the floor, sprawled out with an old comic book. Seeing him, a smile tugged at Sarah's lips. He was her everything, the light in her dark, relentless daily grind. She worked 2 jobs, flipping burgers at the diner and stockpiling groceries at the local store. Each paycheck was a balancing act between bills and groceries, but she dug her heels in, powered by a promise to give Ethan every chance she never had. Digging deeper into the box of family photos, she uncovered snapshots of her mother, Rebecca, who had been the pillar of strength until she passed. Memories of cozy evenings spent baking cookies, her mom laughing, flour dusting the kitchen like magic. They pulled at her heartstrings. They reminded Sarah that resilience ran through her veins, handed down from one remarkable woman to another. Just then the news hit town like a thunderclap. Layoffs at the local factory. Bill, her closest friend and a veteran who had always been a rock for her, was among them. The tension crackled through the community, heavy with whispers and biting comments. Sarah felt the rift grow, like a chasm opening in their once tight bond. Arguments about fairness and loyalty replaced quiet coffee dates, thick with misunderstandings. At a community center fundraiser, she bumped into Bill. The air stiffened, words caught in her throat. "Can you believe what they did?" He spat, the hurt flashing in his eyes. A wave of guilt surged through her. She had been lucky to keep her jobs, yet every dollar seemed a weight on her chest. Their friendship felt stretched thin under the gaze of their neighbors, whom she could feel watching like hawks. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Later that evening, Sarah found herself gripping the photograph tighter, the muted rain striking the window as if it were echoing her turmoil. She noticed a small note taped to the back, her mother's spidery handwriting revealing a message of perseverance. "In trials, seek unity, for love can heal wounds we never thought we had." Tears blurred her vision, mixing with hope and fear as she wondered. Could healing be possible? Could she reach out to Bill and patch things up? The community watched as an emotional narrative unfolded, lingering on the brink of friendship and estrangement. The photograph held the fate of 2 lives in its delicate grip. Would Sarah embrace her mother's wisdom, or let the distance fester? In that fragile moment, the question lingered. Could love bridge the gap, or would silence shatter their bond forever? The kitchen was dimly lit as Sarah placed the photograph back in the box, her decision looming large like an unspoken truth. Guilt gnawed at her, and the weight of her mother's words echoed in her mind. Seek unity. Could she really take that step, mend what felt irreparably frayed? The rain ceased its relentless drum on the glass, leaving behind only the soft sound of Ethan stirring from the floor. "Mom." His voice cut through the stillness, sweet and innocent. He rubbed his eyes, his messy hair sticking up like a bird's nest. "What were you looking at?" "Just some old pictures, buddy." Sarah swallowed hard, fighting the rush of emotions pooling behind her eyes. "Are we having a party?" He grinned, hope shining through his sleepy demeanor. She chuckled softly. "Not this time, but maybe soon." The idea floated in her mind, of inviting Bill over to play cards, creating a bridge of laughter to span their widening gap. Determined, she stood and wiped her face. The thought of reaching out felt like stepping onto shaky ground, but she knew she had to try. Seeing her son filled her with a newfound resolve. The next day at the diner, Sarah placed an order for a special dish and wrote a quick note before slipping it into a small envelope. "Come over for cards tonight? Just like old times?" It felt small yet monumental, each word dripping with vulnerability. She packaged it up with his favorite slice of pie and sent it off with a coworker who stopped by the factory on his way home. As evening fell, anxiety twisted in her stomach. What if he didn't respond? What if he didn't want to talk? But just as quickly as doubt crept in, a flicker of hope danced in its place. This was a step toward healing, toward reclaiming the friendship that had meant so much to both of them. Time crawled until finally, a knock echoed through the living room. Heart racing, she opened the door to find Bill standing there, hands stuffed in his jacket pockets, a hesitant smile playing on his lips. "Hey, got your invite. Come in." "I made pie," she said, her voice bright despite the tremor beneath. They moved to the kitchen, and for a moment, the silence felt charged with unspoken words. Bill grabbed a slice and sunk his teeth into it. "This is great. You haven't lost your touch." The compliment rolled off his tongue slowly, a sign they were cautiously stepping back into familiar territory. "Thanks," she replied, her heart swelling with the warmth of nostalgia. But as they moved on to a game of cards, Sarah could feel the weight of the unspoken truths hovering between them. She needed to address it, to reach beyond the trivial and touch the heart of their rift. "Bill," she started but hesitated, her heart pounding like a drum. "About what happened at the factory, I'm really sorry." His eyes flared with emotion she couldn't quite read. "You're not the one who needs to apologize," he said, his voice heavy with resentment and hurt. Sarah clenched her jaw, feeling a hot tear escape down her cheek. A rush of thoughts swirled in her head. Would they finally voice their pain? Would the truth finally set them both free? "I've been lucky, I know that. But I want you to know you matter to me. More than I could express." The lump in her throat tightened, her heart swelling with sincerity. Bill met her gaze, and in that moment, she caught a glimpse of the hurt and confusion behind his eyes. "You don't understand." But before they could unravel the tension, Ethan bounded into the room. "Hey, why are you both looking serious? Let us play." The lightness of his voice pulled them back, cutting through the heaviness. Sarah and Bill exchanged a glance, silently acknowledging the distance yet to be bridged. As cards shuffled and laughter filled the air, she couldn't shake the feeling that their evening was just a prologue to something deeper waiting to unfold. Would they dive into those raw truths when the game ended? Would they confront the fallout of the layoffs and each other? A mixture of hope and uncertainty danced in her heart, leaving her breathless. Tonight was only the beginning, and she was ready for more. With the evening comfortably slipping into night, echoes of laughter and the playful sounds of cards being shuffled faded into a cocoon of familiarity. Sarah watched Ethan as he enthusiastically counted his tokens, his face scrunched in concentration. It reminded her of simpler times, before the factory troubles disrupted everything. "Okay, buddy, how many do you have?" Bill quipped, nudging Ethan's arm, breaking the game's tense moments with playful banter. 10. Ethan exclaimed, eyes sparkling with triumph. Sarah felt a warmth spread in her chest. For a moment, just a brief moment, things felt almost normal again. But the undercurrent of tension still loomed like a shadow behind the brightness of their gathering. The unaddressed issues still lingered like wisps of smoke, always hovering above them. "All right, let us see those tokens," Bill said, turning back to the cards. As the game progressed, Sarah noticed how Bill's laughter seemed less forced, more genuine. Yet even in light moments, there was a heaviness that lingered, waiting to seep through their smiles. After one particularly invigorating round, Ethan ran to grab more chips from the kitchen, leaving them alone. "Sarah, about what you said earlier," Bill started, his voice low, almost tentative. She held her breath, anticipation sparking her adrenaline. "Yes. Look, I appreciate it. I really do." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "But how do we go back? We can't just erase everything that happened." "I'm not trying to erase it," she replied quickly. "I want to acknowledge it, to admit it. We have to talk about this. It's tearing us apart, Bill." His gaze softened for a fraction of a second, then hardened again. "But talking 1T changed the past. I'm angry and I don't know how to let it go." Sarah nodded, feeling the heat of tears threatening to spill over. She didn't want to push him away, but the truth was a splinter lodged in her heart, refusing to budge. "Then let us talk about that anger. Let us figure this out together." Just as she thought she caught a glimpse of his resolve crumbling, Ethan burst back into the room holding a pile of chips. "Guess what? I just found Mom's secret stash." Laughter erupted, momentarily brushing the heaviness aside. However, Bill's face clouded with something darker. "You shouldn't have a secret stash, Sarah," he said. His voice clipped. It's not fair to put him in the middle. Ethan's smile faltered at the edge of something he sensed. "What's going on?" "Nothing, buddy. Just grown-up stuff," Sarah reassured him, forcing a smile that didn't quite meet her eyes. Bill's eyes, however, held a storm as he searched Sarah's gaze, and her heart raced. As the game continued, she stole glances at Bill. There was something deeper hidden within him, deep fears mixed with anger, emotions that perhaps echoed her own. Could they explore this tangled mess together? Could they share their truths without losing what was left? Eventually, the game came to an end, the cheerful banter fading into a silence filled with unresolved feelings. Bill glanced outside, where the moonlight cast shadows through the window, illuminating moments of history that felt incomplete. "Look, Sarah, I need time to process all this." "Of course," she whispered, her heart sinking slightly. Ethan jumped up, brow furrowed. "Can we at least finish our ice cream before we get serious again?" Their smiles returned, but the air held a bittersweet weight. Sarah wanted to delve deeper, to explore feelings that were too urgent to ignore, but she could sense that Bill still hungered for resolution, for understanding. Before saying goodbye, Bill lingered, almost hesitant to leave. "I'll think about what you said, but I need more time." "Take all the time you need." With a shared glance that felt saturated with emotions they hadn't yet named, he stepped out into the night. Fresh air swept through the door, mingling with the sense of freshly baked pie still lingering in the kitchen. Her heart ached with hope and uncertainty. Ethan plopped onto the couch beside her, oblivious to the weight of the conversation that had just unfolded. "When's Bill coming back? I want to beat him at cards again." "I'm sure it'll be soon," she murmured, her mind racing, her emotions whirling. As Ethan continued to babble about their next game, Sarah felt a flutter of worry wash over her. Would she find the courage to face her fears? Could they truly mend what was broken? And deep within her thoughts, a new question began to take root. What if both their pasts weren't the end of the story, but merely the beginning of a surprising new chapter waiting to be written? The next morning was crisp and bright, with the golden rays of sunlight spilling through the kitchen window. Sarah stirred her coffee, the comforting aroma wrapping around her like a warm blanket. Ethan was already up, seated at the table, his cereal bowl in front of him, eyes glued to the morning cartoons blaring from the living room. For a fleeting moment, she felt at peace, but the weight of yesterday's conversation crept back into her mind. Could she truly wait for Bill? What if the unresolved feelings hung in the air for too long? The thought sent a shiver through her, reminiscent of the chill that comes with uncertainty. "Mom, can we go to the park today?" Ethan interrupted her thoughts, turning his wide eyes toward her, full of eagerness. "Sure, buddy. Let me just finish my coffee," she replied, stirring away the disquiet in her heart to focus on her son, her grounding presence. Once they were both ready, Sarah slipped into her jacket as Ethan tugged at his baseball cap, practically bouncing with excitement. The park was just a short walk away, a spot that had been a refuge for them both. As they strolled along the tree-lined path, Ethan chatted about wanting to fly his kite. When they reached the park, Ethan darted towards the swings, laughter bubbling as he leaped into the seat. Sarah leaned against a nearby tree, watching him swing high, his joy infectious. A smile broke across her face, but the moment was fleeting. "Hey, Sarah." It was Jenna, her neighbor and a close friend since childhood, waving at her from the walking trail. Jenna's presence brightened the air around them. As Jenna approached, Sarah could sense a heaviness behind her cheerful smile. "Hey, what are you doing out here?" Sarah asked, hugging Jenna briefly, aware of how comforting their friendship could be. "Just a morning walk. Mind if I join you?" Jenna glanced over at Ethan, who was now trying to climb the swing set. "Not at all. How are things?" Sarah replied, hoping to mask the concern creeping into her voice. "Oh, same old, same old." Jenna shrugged, but the way her eyes darted told Sarah there was more to the story. As Ethan took off toward the kite area, Sarah turned her full attention to Jenna. "Really? It doesn't seem like same old. You seem off." Jenna hesitated, biting her lip, and then took a deep breath. "Okay, so here's the thing. I found out that I'm pregnant." "Wow, Jenna. That's amazing," Sarah exclaimed, genuinely thrilled for her friend. But then she noticed the worry shadowing Jenna's features. Wait, but why do you look so concerned? Because it's complicated. I'm not sure if I can do this alone. My dad's been sick and I'm trying to balance everything. Jenna's voice trembled, and Sarah could see the fear hiding just beneath the surface. I'm here for you, Sarah assured her, stepping closer. We'll figure this out together. You're not alone in this, Jenna. At that moment, Sarah realized they were both navigating uncharted waters. Jenna's pregnancy brought with it a world of possibilities, yet it mirrored Sarah's own concerns about her growing relationship with Bill. As they shared excited plans and fears, a small notification popped up on Sarah's phone, breaking the intimacy of their moment. She barely turned to glance at it, but the sender's name made her stomach twist. Bill. Sorry, I just got a message, she said, glancing at the screen. I'll check it later. Jenna tilted her head. Looks important? Maybe, Sarah whispered, feeling a rush of nerves. Would it be the push they needed? Or something that made making amends seem even farther away? Mom! Look at my kite! Ethan yelled from the distance, his happiness echoing across the park. Sarah smiled, hoping for clarity among her tangled emotions with Bill. But still one thought circled her mind. It wasn't just about healing the past. It was about embracing the dawn of something new. As she looked back to see Ethan running with his kite soaring high above, a familiar flutter of hope sparked within her. But then she hesitated, unsure if she was ready for whatever Bill had to say next. With Jenna by her side and Ethan's laughter ringing clear in the air, Sarah took a deep breath, caught in a swirling storm of anticipation. What did Bill want to share? Would it bring them closer, or would it be another hurdle to overcome? The sound of laughter pulled Sarah back to the present. She couldn't help but admire Ethan as he ran in circles, his kite dancing over his head like a vibrant bird. The wind whipped around him, carrying his joy like a contagious melody through the air. But as Sarah's gaze shifted back to her phone, a knot tightened in her stomach again. What could Bill possibly want? What had he typed that had her heart racing? Here, I'll take that for you. Jenna's voice sliced through her reverie as she bent down, motioning to take Ethan's kite string. You've got to catch your breath. Ethan giggled, relinquishing control, and Jenna became the kite master, guiding it effortlessly as they darted from one side of the park to the other. Sarah watched them, a sweet smile softening her features. But as much as she wanted to be in the moment, the buzzing phone felt like a weight on her chest, reminding her of tasks left unaddressed. Hey, I'll be right back. I just need to check something, she called out, trying to keep her voice light. Sure. I've got this. Don't worry, Jenna replied, confident as she tugged the kite higher. As Sarah walked a few steps away, she felt a rush of emotions flood her. Bill had always had a way of pulling her between hope and anxiety. Would this message clarify things? Or would it add another layer of confusion? Taking a deep breath, she opened her phone, her finger hovering over Bill's message. It was only a few lines, but the words jumped out and settled like stones in her heart. Hey Sarah, I've been doing a lot of thinking. Can we talk? I know things have been complicated lately, but I want to be honest with you about how I feel. Just like that, an unexpected mix of fear and excitement coursed through her. He wanted honesty. She craved that too. But was the conversation she hoped for truly on the horizon? Or would it only expand the chasm of their misunderstandings? As she stood there, the decisions of the past months crowded her thoughts, all those moments where she had doubted whether waiting for him was worth the uncertainty. Hey, Sarah. Earth to Sarah. Jenna waved her hand in front of her face, breaking the spell that the message had cast. Sorry. Just lost in thought, Sarah said, tucking the phone back into her pocket. Everything okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Jenna's brows creased with concern. Just Bill, she admitted, feeling a little lighter, spilling the truth. He wants to talk. Jenna tilted her head thoughtfully. Isn't he that good? Maybe this is your chance to work things out. Or maybe more things to untangle, Sarah replied, leaning against the tree. With her spirit starting to flutter with anxiety, she knew Jenna's encouragement was well-meaning, but didn't quite alleviate her fear. What if it only complicates things further? Sometimes you have to take the leap, Jenna said softly. You won't know until you try. Ethan's laughter erupted again, pulling them back into the bliss of the moment. The kite danced high against the blue, a symbol of the free-spirited life they both longed for. But still, in Sarah's heart, Billowing clouds of uncertainty threatened to overshadow the bright rays of hope. Yeah, maybe, Sarah murmured, resolve flickering within her. She wanted to believe that this conversation could spark healing, but doubt lingered like a shadow. Just then, Ethan came bounding over, his cheeks flushed with excitement. Mom! Jenna! You have to see how high I can make it fly. It's like it's alive. Sarah smiled, watching his outburst of joy, and for a moment she forgot her worries. But with the looming decision just ahead, she couldn't shake the feeling that this day was about to shift everything. Okay, let me see, she called, the uncertainty still gnawing but brightened by her son's unyielding enthusiasm. But as they were caught in that moment, Sarah caught glimpses of the sky, a canvas of dreams and possibilities. What happened next wouldn't just affect her. It would affect Ethan, Jenna, and the life they were all weaving together. Where would this conversation with Bill lead them? Would it finally open the door to the future Sarah secretly longed for? Or was she on the brink of something entirely unexpected? Sarah didn't realize how much time had passed until she heard Ethan's voice breaking through the distance. Mom! Look! It's like magic! He was tugging at Jenna, pointing excitedly at the kite now soaring high, the sun illuminating its colors so vibrant they felt almost unreal. Jenna laughed, her arms raised triumphantly. We've got a real maestro here. For a moment, the laughter of her son and Jenna's infectious energy pushed away the weight of Bill's message. But the sheer joy around her couldn't erase the fluttering anxiety nestled in her chest. She knew she couldn't put off the conversation forever. With a deep breath, Sarah stepped back from the laughter and began to walk towards a quieter corner of the park. The distant sound of children playing mixed with the rustling leaves. Here, beneath a small cluster of trees, she could think without interruption. She pulled out her phone again, staring at Bill's message. His words felt heavy, like a promise yet to be fulfilled. Maybe this would lead to clarity. Or would it shove her deeper into confusion? She couldn't shake that nagging feeling. Do you want to know how I really feel? She whispered to herself. Just then a little gust of wind blew, lifting her hair like a soft caress. Was that a sign? Or just the bluster of the day? Sarah thought back to the last argument they had, the misunderstandings caught up in confusion. Heavy words filled with frustration exchanged like blows. She could feel her heart tightening at the memory. But hope quietly flickered. Maybe this conversation could change everything. Or maybe it would break her heart all over again. Mom! Ethan's voice broke through her thoughts, this time accompanied by the buoyant sound of footsteps. Can we go get ice cream? Of course, buddy. Let us go find our favorite spot, she called, a smile breaking through her worries. As they made their way back to where Jenna stood, Ethan's laughter filled her with a warmth she desperately needed. Those sweet moments, the ones where life felt carefree and effortless, were worth fighting for. Jenna turned, her eyes sparkling. Ice cream? I'm in. They made their way toward the ice cream truck, Sarah's mind still weaving between ice cream flavors and the upcoming conversation with Bill. Choice after choice danced through her mind like colors on the kite, each one laced with implications. Would she stick with what was familiar, or dive into the unknown? Mom, can I have the big scoop? Ethan tugged at her. Absolutely. You deserve it, Sarah smiled down at him. His joy was contagious and reminded her of the importance of living in the moment. As they ordered, a part of her felt a rise of excitement at the thought. Maybe, just maybe, it was time to put herself first and embrace whatever came next. With their ice cream in hand, they found a bench, and as the sweet treats melted under the warm sun, laughter and chatter filled the air. For a moment, life was nothing but sweetness. But even as she savored every bite, a tension brewed within. She felt as if she were standing at the edge of a cliff, peering into an abyss. What if the leap she needed to take could crumble her world instead of lifting her to new heights? Hey Jenna, can I ask you something? Of course. Anything, Jenna replied, licking her ice cream cone as she leaned closer. What do you think about second chances? Jenna paused, her expression shifting to one of deep consideration. I think they can be beautiful, but they can also be scary. You have to weigh the risks, you know? That resonated with Sarah, echoing in her heart. Just then her phone buzzed again, a fresh message from Bill. It seemed the universe was urging her onward, testing her resolve, pushing her toward the unexpected. One deep breath later, Sarah felt the weight of intention settle in her chest. She couldn't run from this anymore. As they chatted and enjoyed ice cream, the sky began to shift, clouds rolling in subtly, darkening the horizon. A change was coming, but would it bring storm or sunshine? The moment of truth felt tantalizingly close. What would Bill have to say? And more importantly, was she ready to hear it? Once they finished their ice cream, the three of them strolled back to the grassy area where the kites danced against the backdrop of clouds. Jenna's laughter mingled with Ethan's playful shouts, creating a symphony of joy that was hard to resist. But Sarah felt her heart race in time with the buzzing of her phone, the anticipation tightening like a spring. Ethan dropped onto the grass, his eyes glued to the kites above. "Look, Mom. That one looks like a dragon." "Yeah, go farther," Jenna encouraged, giving Ethan a playful nudge to run. He sprinted away, arms flailing, pretending to be a dragon tamer, and that fleeting moment of pure bliss, Sarah felt a familiar pang of envy mixing with joy. It was in these small, bright moments that she wanted to bottle up all her happiness, shield it from the weight of adult concerns. But she couldn't ignore the shadows lurking just beyond her sight, shadows conjured by Bill's message that loomed large in her mind. She stepped aside, glancing at her phone once more. The message from Bill was still waiting for her. A small moon in the starlit sky swirling above. It was almost as if he knew she was stalling. Maybe he felt the churn of emotions just like she did. "Mom!" Ethan yelled from several yards away, laughter spilling from him as he whirled like a top. "Come play." "Just a minute," she called back, her voice slightly strained. Could she really dive into this? Was she ready for the unknown Bill might be presenting? "Hey, are you okay?" Jenna's gentle voice broke through her thoughts. Sarah met her friend's gaze, seeing genuine concern etched in her features. It was no secret to Jenna that Sarah had been wrestling with her feelings. "I'm fine," Sarah replied, forcing out a smile. But her voice trembled and she felt exposed. "You sure? You seem distracted," Jenna said, tilting her head slightly. "No, really. Just thinking." Jenna didn't push, but Sarah could tell her friend wasn't convinced. She reached out, squeezing Sarah's arm lightly, a touch of warmth in a brewing storm. "Maybe I should just reply," Sarah mused aloud. The idea was as enticing as it was frightening. "Then do it. What's the worst that could happen?" Jenna encouraged, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. Sarah glanced out at Ethan, who was now chasing down a renegade kite string. He was so lost in his own adventure, completely unbothered by the complexities of adult feelings. It made Sarah smile, but the thought quickly turned heavy as an image of Bill's face pierced through her mind, an image loaded with both love and confrontation. Taking a deep breath, she opened the chat with Bill again, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. "What do I even say?" she whispered to herself. The weight of that one sentence felt monumental. Before she could second-guess herself, she typed a quick response, her heart racing as she pressed send. "Can we talk soon?" Ethan's laughter drifted back to her, and for a moment everything else disappeared. But it didn't last long. The phone rang, its vibration startling her. It was Bill. "Mom!" Ethan shouted again, this time panting slightly. "Can we fly the kites?" "Yeah, let us do that," Sarah said, tucking her phone into her pocket, savoring the distraction. She needed to see movement, to feel alive. As they gathered the kite strings and ran to the open field, Sarah felt a delicate balance, the thrill of the shapes dancing overhead mixed with the pulse of her heart, knowing a pivotal moment was just a conversation away. "Watch this," Ethan shouted, pulling the kite up with a surge of energy, laughter escaping his lips as they raced against the wind. In that moment, the sun pierced through the clouds, bringing warmth they had all felt hidden beneath the gray. But could the highs and lows of her adult life ever be as simple as this? Would she really risk everything for the chance of something more, something real? She didn't have the answers yet, and as Bill's call went unanswered in her pocket, she wondered what would happen next. Will tomorrow bring clarity, she wondered, or more storms? All around, the laughter faded into the background, the world blurring while her heart thudded with uncertainty. And still, she ran with Ethan, feeling the wind sweep through her hair, even as her phone buzzed silently, waiting for its moment to change everything. What would her reply bring? What conversations would lie ahead? The excitement in the air was contagious as Sarah and Ethan launched their kite into the sky, its vibrant colors dancing against the bright blue. For a moment everything else faded into blissful background noise, the chatter of families, the laughter of children, the rustling of the grass. She watched Ethan as he squealed with delight, running back and forth, making sure the kite soared higher and higher. "Look at it, Mom!" he shouted, his eyes sparkling with wonder. "It's flying so high." His joy ignited something inside her. Yet, a flicker of anxiety flitted through her mind like a shadow. She had invited change with her message to Bill. A change that could bring both happiness and heartache. "Are you having fun?" Jenna asked, running up beside Sarah, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Yeah, it's great," Sarah replied, forcing the words through a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Jenna was always a source of comfort, but could she ever understand the storm that brewed within her? Suddenly, the kite gave a wild jerk, pulling Ethan off balance. He stumbled, but Sarah reached him just in time. She held his hand tight, his small fingers reassuring against her palm. "Whoa there, buddy. Steady now," she said, keeping his excitement in check for a moment. "Sorry, Mom. Can we try again?" he asked, bouncing on his toes with anticipation. "Of course. Just hold tight," she said, feeling a rush of affection. In this simple moment, she could almost forget the looming questions swirling with Bill. Ethan took off again. But something about his reckless enthusiasm reminded Sarah of how fragile everything in life really was. Perfectly intertwined with joy walked the risk of heartbreak, and the buzzing phone in her pocket felt like an unanswered question hanging over her head as they flew the kite again. She caught Jenna gazing thoughtfully at her. "You're not really okay, are you?" she asked gently, concern clouding her features. "I'm trying to be," Sarah replied honestly, her voice trembling slightly. Before Jenna could respond, Sarah's phone buzzed again. Louder this time, a reminder that Bill's presence lingered like a whisper just out of reach. Part of her longed to answer, to spill everything in a rush of words. Another part wanted to shield her current happiness from whatever storms he might bring. "Hey, let us take a break," Jenna suggested, noticing the shift in Sarah's demeanor. "We can grab some water and then go back to the kites?" "Yeah, that sounds good," Sarah said, grateful for the distraction. They plopped down on the soft grass, and as Ethan bounded off toward the snack stand, Jenna leaned closer. "You know, whatever's going on with Bill, you don't have to do it alone. I'm here for you." "I know," Sarah whispered, her voice thick as she fought back tears. "Just everything feels so complicated." "Well, whatever happens, you're a great mom." Her words struck a deep chord. In a world of uncertainties, Sarah felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps it was okay to lean on her friends during these times. She didn't need to face everything alone, even if the fears loomed large. Just then Ethan returned, his small hands filled with 2 icy drinks and 2 bright smiles. "Mom, Jenna, I got us lemonades." He beamed as he handed them out, oblivious to the weight of adult conversations. "Thanks, bud." Sarah smiled, feeling a rush of warmth. But as she took a sip, her phone buzzed yet again, this time bringing a rush of adrenaline through her veins. It was a new message from Bill. As she glanced at the screen, her heart raced. "Tomorrow? We need to talk. I have something important to share." A chill ran down Sarah's spine. What could it be? The anticipation of that moment tumbled around in her thoughts. "Everything okay?" Jenna asked softly, her gaze shifting toward Sarah. Sensing the change in her mood, Sarah swallowed hard. The smile on her face stayed, but her stomach churned with dread. "I think it will be," she replied, though uncertainty wove its way through her heart. That as they resumed their kite flying, laughter echoed again, but inside all she could think was, what could possibly be so important? The sun began to dip lower in the sky, shadows creeping in as the day turned golden. Sarah's world felt like it was tilting ever so slightly, and she couldn't shake the feeling that tomorrow would change everything. Would it bring joy, relief, or more questions? Deep inside, she knew the conversation was unavoidable. Would she be brave enough to face it? Ethan laughed gleefully as the kite caught a sudden gust of wind, sending it higher into the sky. For a fleeting moment, Sarah let herself be swept away in the joy of the moment. She cheered, trying to match Ethan's enthusiasm, but beneath her exterior, her mind spun in a whirlwind. Bill's message echoed in her mind. What did he want to say? Why could it not wait? Jenna nudged her gently. "Hey, you're really not into this, are you?" Sarah glanced up, momentarily lost in Jenna's concerned gaze. "I'm sorry, I just..." What's going on? Jenna pressed further, her voice lowering to a soothing whisper. It's this message, Sarah admitted, biting her lower lip. I didn't expect to feel this unsettled. What could he have to share that's so important? The laughter of children and the gentle rustle of the trees around them felt distant now. Jenna watched her friend closely, then spoke softly. Maybe it's something good? Maybe. The word hung in the air like a question mark. Forcing a smile, Sarah watched Ethan dart towards a group of children, all trailing their kites in varied colors. His carefree spirit was a reminder of the innocence she wished to preserve. When had life become so complicated? Hey, do you want a break from flying kites? Jenna asked, noticing Sarah's shifting moods. We can sit a bit longer. Talk it out. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Sarah felt a warmth in Jenna's honesty. Someone to share her fears with was all she needed right now. She sought out a patch of grass away from the chaos of children, and they settled down, the sun casting golden streaks across the park. A deep breath moved through Sarah, but it didn't bring the relief she sought. What if it's bad news? She asked, twisting her fingers together. Then you deal with it. You're strong. Look at how you handle everything alone. Jenna replied, her voice firm yet comforting. But you can't live waiting for it either. Right. Maybe I'm just dreading the unknown. Sarah admitted, feeling the knot unwind just a smidge. Life feels like a constant balance of wanting to shield Ethan from everything but being ready to face things head-on. Jenna nodded in understanding. It's about finding strength in vulnerability. You're not just a mom, you're human. And humans feel everything. Yeah, I guess. Sarah looked toward Ethan, who was now crafting intricate shapes with a bunch of other kids. Just looking at his laughter made her heart swell. He deserves a happy life. Just like I want. Exactly. And whatever Bill has to say will just be one piece of the puzzle. Jenna said gently. You'll navigate it together, you and Ethan. Sarah closed her eyes, imagining a world where Bill's news might be good. Where he'd ask for forgiveness, or at least meet her halfway. She couldn't help but feel a tiny flicker of hope, a flicker she hadn't entertained yet. The sun began to set, painting the sky with stunning hues of oranges and pinks. You want to head back to flying kites? Jenna offered, trying to drag Sarah from the spiral of thoughts. Sure, Sarah agreed, her spirits slightly lifting. But before they stood, a vibration against her thigh interrupted their moment. Glancing down, Sarah's heart sank. Another message from Bill. Ugh, it's him again. Sorry, I need to see, she whispered, her throat dry. Sit tight. I'm right here, Jenna said, squeezing her hand for comfort. As Sarah opened the message, a photo appeared. It was a picture of a tiny stick, faint lines glimmering under bright light. Confusion washed over her. What does this mean? Jenna, you need to see this. Sarah's voice barely rose above a whisper. A rush of emotion flooding her. Jenna leaned closer, her brow furrowing as she read the screen. The implications hit hard. A mixture of shock and excitement. What does this mean? Is this, I think it's a pregnancy test? Sarah replied, bewildered. The weight of the revelation sank into her, leaving a tumult of emotions in its wake. Jenna's eyes widened. Sarah, is it possible? What will I say tomorrow? The dread of the upcoming talk with Bill returned, thicker than before. Just then Ethan darted back toward them, a wide smile and question swirling in his bright eyes. Mom, can we fly the kite now? Please. Before Sarah could respond, everything felt like it was tipping over again. Everything was changing around her, and as Ethan tugged her hand, she couldn't help but wonder. Was she ready for this? The warm sunlight seeped through the kitchen window, spilling golden rays onto the worn wooden table where Sarah sat, a steaming cup of coffee in hand. Her heart felt as heavy as the clouds above, thick with uncertainty as she replayed the events from yesterday. Bill's photo still lingered in her mind, a tiny stick that held the power to shift her world upside down. What would it mean for her, for Ethan? Mom, look at my drawing. Ethan's voice broke her from her trance, his small hands presenting a crumpled piece of paper decorated with colorful scribbles. He grinned with pure joy, the innocence illuminating his features. In that moment, she wondered how such a small person could emanate so much light amidst her swirling confusion. That's amazing, buddy. What's happening in the picture? She prompted, shifting her focus to him, desperately trying to stockpile joy against the weight of doubt brewing in her chest. It's us. At the park flying the kite. Ethan exclaimed, his excitement bursting forth. And look, there's a new baby kite too. Her heart skipped at his innocent implication, and for a glimmering moment, she saw a future. How a sibling could splash color into their lives, weaving more joy into their tiny home. But the thought of Bill complicated everything. She needed to face this, so she decided then and there to be brave. Ethan, how would you feel if I told you there might be an addition to our family? She asked tentatively, watching his eyes widen, not sure whether he'd cheer or retreat into confusion. What do you mean? Like a new baby. Someone to share our adventures with. Why? He asked, his brow furrowing as he considered the implications, his childlike curiosity wrapping around her heart. Because, buddy, sometimes life surprises us in ways we never expect. And it can be beautiful, she said, leaning closer, her nerves calming as she explained. You be a big brother. Ethan tilted his head, mulling it over, before a brilliant smile broke free. I'd like that. I could teach them how to fly a kite. The sweetness of his response brought tears to her eyes, tears of both joy and fear. It was a beautiful sentiment to ponder, yet it only heightened the urgency of the conversation she knew awaited her. Let us take this one step at a time, okay? She smiled, but uncertainty clung to her voice. First, I have to talk to Bill. As if on cue, the doorbell rang, making her heart race. Drawing in a deep, steadying breath, she saw Ethan dart toward the door, excited to see who it was. Stay right here. She called to him, conscious of what lay beyond that door. Okay, Ethan shouted back, bouncing at the threshold, unaware of how monumental this moment could be. With a hesitant hand, Sarah opened the door, her heart pounding in her chest. There stood Bill, looking weary yet hopeful, hands stuffed deep into his pockets and a tentative smile struggling to break free. Hey Sarah, can we talk? His voice was steady, yet his eyes reflected storms of their own. Yeah, come in, she replied, stepping aside, allowing him to enter their small sanctuary filled with memories. She motioned towards the table where Ethan was still peering up expectantly, interest bright in his eyes as he took in Bill's presence. Hey Ethan, what's going on? Bill asked, crouching down to meet his gaze, a blend of warmth and uncertainty threading through. I just drew a picture of our family and a new baby, Ethan announced as if it were the most casual of statements, the weight of childlike honesty hanging in the air. Bill's eyes widened, and for a fleeting moment, astonishment replaced the worry on his face. A new baby, huh? That sounds amazing. Yeah, they fly kites with us. Ethan grinned, bouncing on his toes, the room lighting up from his innocence. Caught off guard, Sarah exchanged a glance with Bill, her heart racing. Could they navigate this unfolding reality, no matter how complicated? Bill cleared his throat, gathering himself. I wanted to talk about yesterday and about us, he began, turning serious. I know things have been rocky, but with this news, he gestured. Weekly between them, it kind of puts everything into perspective. Things have been confusing for both of us, Sarah admitted, her heart fluttering. I'm afraid of what might come next, and not just what you saw yesterday, but how any of this can change our lives, Ethan's too. A weight settled in the air, laden with unspoken tension. But as she continued, the realization flowed through her. They were standing at a crossroads with doors lined with potential all around them. Bill nodded, his expression shifting to one of understanding. Maybe we need to be honest, he said, his voice low. About how we feel. About everything. Right, she said, feeling more buoyant. About how scared we are and how hard it's been. Together they forged a tentative bridge, the courage mingling with hope. With every word, the worries unraveled, knitting together the fabric of their friendship anew. That's how we can move forward, Sarah surmised, her voice brightening. We tackle it together, for us, for Ethan. We'll face it no matter what. Understanding dawned in Bill's gaze, a calm resolution settling in. I want to be there for you, for Ethan. If you're open to it, let us figure this out together. Together, Sarah echoed, feeling the radiant light of hope beckoning. I want that more than anything. In that fragile moment, she felt freed from the weight of uncertainty, hugging the shared dream of the future, one filled not just with shadows of doubt, but with sparkling possibilities. Ethan's voice broke through, joy radiating from him. Can we fly the kites now? Absolutely. They both said in unison, laughter breaking the tension like dawn spilling over the horizon. Together they stepped into the backyard, the sun illuminating a path where once shadows lingered. The gentle breeze carried laughter and the tickle of freedom as they summoned the kites to life, their colors soaring against the bright blue canvas above. "Here we go," Ethan shouted, joy erupting through every little word. And with that, Sarah and Bill embraced the marvel of new beginnings, turning each fluttering kite into a symbol of hope, of a family woven together by courage, love, and the promise of brighter days ahead. The world shifted subtly that day, a sacred knot tied between them, but also stretching far beyond, encompassing all they held dear. This was their moment of transformation, ready to fly high above the clouds together. So if you're watching this story unfold and resonate with its powerful journey of love and resilience, you need to subscribe now. Hit that bell to not miss any more exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more people who need this hope. And comment below your reactions to this transformative ending. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who would cherish and learn from this experience. Your support means everything and helps us grow this incredible community.